Hey guys, and welcome back to We Watched a Movie. I am Mike with finally another Scream update, Scream 7 update. And I don't know if it's a good, I don't know. You know what? I'm just happy to have Scream stuff to talk about. And finally, something legit for sure. This is not some Reddit clips comprehend whatever. Bloody Disgusting themselves is reporting right now that Scream 7 is indeed going to happen. That's not a surprise, but of course it's not been officially confirmed, and now there's the strike going on. It's not being officially confirmed here, but with them saying, yeah, it's happening, just like we all knew it was. That's definitely good enough for me. And they're also saying a bit of bittersweet, and I won't say bittersweet, could be bad, it just depends on what's going on. News, Radio Silence, they are hearing, is not going to be able to come back and direct Scream 7. And the reason why is because they're working on their untitled Universal Monster movie, and they wanted to come back and do Scream 7. They were interested in it, but the timing doesn't seem like it's going to work out. Now, that could all change because with the writer strike going on, that the schedules could go anywhere. But as of now, it's looking like Radio Silence will reportedly not be back to direct Scream 7. And they have confirmed that there have been talks with Christopher Landon to direct the movie. Who is Christopher Landon, you might ask? So let's take a look together at who Christopher Landon is in the movies that he's done. So let's take a look at who Christopher Landon is as a director first off. He directed a movie called Burning Palms, which I have not seen. He directed Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, which only ranks as a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, which I thought was an underrated entry in the Paranormal Activity franchise for sure. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which is just straight up horror comedy, but mostly skewed towards comedy, which is a theme that we'll notice and we'll talk about as we go on. Happy Death Day, which was very Screamish. That's going to be a just like Scream movie for sure when we continue that series. And I also have Disturbing Behavior coming up for that series too, so look forward to that. And make sure you click subscribe and the bell so these updates happen, you will be notified of them. Happy Death Day to you, obviously. Freaky, the horror slasher with Vince Vaughn that came out right after the whole COVID situation was going on in 2020. And finally, we have A Ghost, which was starring the Stranger Things dude, straight to Netflix, more of a kid's gateway movie. I haven't checked that one out myself. Of the ones he's directed that I've seen, when you look at his filmography, he's the obvious choice to direct Scream. You can tell he's a huge fan of Scream. All of his movies almost have Scream-isms in there. Both Freaky and both the Happy Death Day movies could easily be a part of the Just Like Scream series. They do skew comedic, though. And Scream, you have to have both, obviously. He's got the comedic side down. I think his characters in the Scream universe and the way they interact will be great. And the vibes and the humor and all that stuff, I think, is perfect. The one question I think I have, and I think that everybody will have, is can he do the dark side of it? You don't want Scream to be too lighthearted. You know what I mean? Then you end up with Scream 3, which, as I've said a million times, I've grown to love it over the years. But I think we can all admit that if Columbine hadn't happened and they didn't have to make a million changes to that, not even talking about the script that still had Stu alive, but like they almost wanted zero blood whatsoever in that movie and no violence in that movie at all because of the way the world was and everything that was going on. I think we can all agree if Scream 3 had some of those fun elements it had in it, but could have had the mean elements also that Wes Craven's original Scream had, and sometimes Scream 2 had, I think it would have been a completely different movie. So that part is important. The darkness of the yin and the yang of Scream is very, very important. And yes, his movies really skew away from that and more towards the comedic part. That's not to say he can't do the dark parts of it. You know what I mean? We're talking about a movie where the reason the comedy works in Scream is because it's also able to be extremely mean. I mean, you know, the movie franchise opens up with them hanging Drew Barrymore from a tree while her parents watch. She's literally been gutted and her intestines are falling out all over the place. Scream's at its best when it's both mean and fun and meta. And another thing I think when I think about that, speaking of Scream 3, is you've had a lot of people say, oh, Scream 3 or Scream 7 will mirror Scream 3 because Scream 5 mirrored Scream 6 really mirrored Scream 2. It's logical that the next one will mirror Scream 3. I've never believed in that because I think that eventually after the first two movies, you don't mirror the franchise anymore. I don't think they're setting out to make a Scream 3. And when I talked to the writer Guy Busick about this, he admitted as much himself. He said that, I'm paraphrasing here, you can go back and watch the interview, I'll put it at the end of this video, but he said himself that Scream 6 mirrored all the movies. That's why you had the shrine. It was an ode to all the movies, not just Scream 2. And he said that they didn't even set out to mirror Scream 2 on purpose. How many times am I going to say mirror? As far as the writing aspects of Christopher Landon goes, he's written a few more things than he's directed. He wrote Disturbia, the screenplay and story for Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. Shia, surprise! And I gotta say, Shia LaBeouf would have fit pretty good in the Scream universe in his earlier years. Anyways, yeah, he wrote Disturbia, which is a kick-ass movie. You gotta watch that if you haven't checked it out. I'm gonna watch that soon. It's been a minute. He wrote Paranormal Activity 2, Paranormal Activity 3. He wrote Paranormal Activity 4, Paranormal Activity the marked ones. Okay, so as far as that goes, a lot of his movies that he directs, he writes. He did not write Happy Death Day, the original, but he did write the sequel to it. So I think we have to assume that he's going to have a writer's credit on this if he ends up signing up for Scream 7 as well. And there was a lot of rumors before coming out from God knows where, because you know how this stuff goes, that they were already working on the Scream 7 script before the writer's strike happened. And that would be confused. Like, maybe there's a chance Radio Silence ends up as writers on this, not just using the characters of, but actually helping write this story along with maybe Christopher Landon. It's also worth noting that a lot of what Christopher Landon has done in the past has been under the house of Blumhouse, right? It's been under the umbrella of Blumhouse, and who knows how much that skewed what he was doing to a certain way, to a comedic factor or to a more PG-ish factor. That could have had something to do with it too, because you know Blumhouse, they like to appeal to everybody as often as possible. They do know to make like Halloween rated R and stuff like that, but it feels like Blumhouse, when they can, they will push it to a lighter tone rather than a darker one. If you just look at their filmography lately, that's just kind of the direction they go. And also, they had sort of a whole mess of an issue going on with the distribution of Freaky, like going day and date and all that. So maybe him being under Spyglass, working on the Scream franchise, you'll see the darker side of Chris Landon as well. Who knows? Hopefully. I like my Scream dark and twisted. Grab his dick and twist it. Let's talk about the sadness of knowing that Radio Silence very well may be gone. I'm torn. Like, I love Radio Silence and I love what they did. I like Scream 5 and 6 a whole fucking lot. You know, my ranking, as you guys know, goes Scream, Scream 2, Scream 5, Scream 6, you know? So I really do enjoy those movies a lot. And I love every movie in the Scream franchise. So that being said, I think that there's a cautious optimism that I have with someone else doing it. It's neat. It's almost more exciting. Now, it could be in the end you go, oh shit, man, what was I thinking? I wish we just had Radio Silence again. But it's exciting. It's new, different, little. What movie is that from? Comment down below. But yeah, no, it's also exciting. Like, this is only the second time in the franchise that we've ever been like, oh, a new blood's take on the Scream franchise. It's been Wes Craven, then it was Radio Silence, and that was a big jump. It's like, oh my God, can Scream work without Wes Craven? And I think indubitably it did. Did I just say that fucking word? But no, I think it did. And granted, there's people who don't, but the movie did well financially, it did well critically, it did well audience scores. Overall, both those movies were a success, despite what, you know, qualms personally people have with it. They were overall deemed a success. So that worked out, I think. And for me, I loved them both. So I thought it worked out great. But doing this again is scary, but it's exciting. You know what I mean? Like, it could, I'm fascinated with going back into Christopher Landon's filmography and rewatching his movies now and just taking note of all that. I'm going to do that super soon. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sad that we're not going to get Radio Silence back for sure. I think that they were doing a great job, and the idea that they'll probably be on as a producer or something like that, possibly even a writer, is cool. That they're still going to have that, you know, their fingers inside of it. Oh, me. It's a little bittersweet, but it's also really fucking exciting. So I would love to know what you guys think about this, about Christopher Landon doing Scream. Are you excited about that? Or are you more bummed that we're not going to get Radio Silence? I know some of you, there will be a faction of people that'll be psyched to get Radio Silence out of there. People who didn't enjoy 5 and 6, because there's definitely those people too. But I like to err on the side of optimism when it comes to Scream, and I think Christopher Landon's a good filmmaker, and you can see by his filmography that he's a Scream fan, so that's what you want. You definitely want someone who loves the franchise in there, and not someone that comes in like the French director of Halloween 5, who thinks that this is beneath him, and then writes some dumbass fucking Men in Black storyline, you know? Croissant! You bring Tommy Gun into prison breakout, Michael. Yes. That's not even a French accent. I don't know what I did there. Anyways, I'm losing my shit. I'm on my second cup of coffee. What do you guys think about all this shit? it's exciting to have Scream news to talk about. That's what I know. And I just need to get Christopher Landon's opinion on Stu. I can't wait to talk about all this news with you going forward. You're fucking awesome. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Have a fucking awesome day, my friends.
Hello, listener. Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? Well, Jay and Mike like scary movies too. You should go and subscribe to their podcast, We Watched a Movie. Because if you don't, I'll gut you like a... Well, I think you get the idea. Enjoy yourselves while you still can.